Hello and welcome to the Belfast Bapcast. So this evening we are delving into layer 4 of the collapse. So layer 3 revealed that our history has been edited. Layer 4 reveals why populations can live through edited history without noticing. So this is the layer that explains how society forgets, how narratives take hold, how identity fragments, how how obedience emerges, how disassociation becomes cultural, and how confusion becomes normal. The psychological layer is not theoretical, it is operational. The guests who have helped us chart this terrain would be Dr. Colin A. Ross, Cathy O'Brien, and Jesse Czebotar. Dr. Ross gives us the clinical, documented, evidence based research. Cathy O'Brien, the lived experience of trauma, the structures and the control systems. And then we have Jesse, who was able to shine a light on the hierarchical interpretations of these systems and how they fit into the frameworks. Their perspectives do not compete, they complete each other. This layer is the engine room of collapse, the operating system beneath the behavior of entire populations. So, what is psychological operating system? So, it's the invisible architecture shaping your memory, attention, identity, belief, behavior, obedience, fear, and emotional stability. Every civilization has one. Modern society simply pretends it doesn't. So, number one, trauma. Individual, generational, cultural. It fragments and reshapes perception. Narrative. Stories define reality more than data ever could. Repetition. Patterns repeated long enough become identity. And this is how societies are steered, not by force, but by psychology. A fragmented population is a manageable population, and a confused population is a compliant one. Understanding this layer is essential to understanding the overall collapse. So, Dr. Ross, the Clinical Foundation. Dr. Ross is one of the world's leading clinical voices on trauma and disassociation. He does not deal in speculation, he deals in peer reviewed research, medical casework, and declassified psychological research. So, Ross work establishes three critical pillars of this layer. Number one, trauma creates fragmentation. So, clinical studies show dissociative disorders affect 1 to 3% of the population. Over 90% of these dissociative disorders derive from severe trauma. Memory becomes compartmentalized and under extreme stress. Fragmentation is predictable, repeatable, and clinically understood. Disassociation increases suggestibility. So, Dr. Ross's research into historical behavioral programs shows traumatized individuals become more compliant. Disassociation creates internal walls. Identity fragmentation can be shaped or conditioned. Again, this is clinical psychology, not internet myth. Number three, behavior can be engineered. So, through trauma and repetition, individuals may follow directives without resistance, suppress memories, split emotional responses, and internalize obedience. Dr. Ross provides the science, cold, documented, unambiguous. His work gives us the diagnosis vocabulary. Our next guest shows that the vocabulary functions in real life. So, Cathy O'Brien gives us lived experience at the intersection of trauma and power. So, Cathy's testimony is harrowing, and her contribution is vital. It aligns with Dr. Ross's clinical architecture in three ways. So, trauma induced disassociation. Cathy describes trauma structures that match clinical disassociation patterns, compartmentalization of identity, amnesia barriers, and trigger based memory recall. Her lived account mirrors principles documented in psychiatric literature. Number two, political institutional overlap. So, Cathy reports operational systems where trauma structures create compliance. Individuals become tools within larger networks. Secrecy is maintained through psychological compartmentalization. Her testimony overlaps with verified history and historical intelligence practices. involving psychological operations, MK Ultra, without requiring the listener to take every detail literally. Symbolic and ritual reinforcement. So, Cathy describes symbolic frameworks used to reinforce obedience, consistent with psychological conditioning models where repeated cues shape behavior. Cathy gives us the operational context Dr. Ross cannot give. What clinical structures look like when applied within the power systems. Her voice represents lived experience with a controversial and painful within a controversial and a painful domain. Handled here, obviously, with respect, neutrality, and clarity. So Jesse brings us the symbolic and hierarchical framework, and Jesse's perspective is also lived experience, and her contribution adds to the symbolic layer. Number one, the hierarchies of influence. So she outlines structural, spiritual, and psychological hierarchies that mirror political ones. Number two, symbolic language. So Jesse explains that symbols act as markers of authority, triggers, identifiers of rank, communication systems. This aligns with anthropological studies of ritual societies. Number three, the generational conditioning. So her framework explains why certain psychological patterns persist across generations, a concept supported in part by epigenetic research on trauma inheritance. Number four, ritual as structure, not as aesthetic. So Jesse argues that rituals serve organizational purposes consistent with how sociologists interpret ritual behavior across cultures. Jesse provides the meaning behind the mechanism Dr. Ross documents and the lived environment Cathy describes. This creates a tri-layered understanding: science, experience, and symbolism. So the convergence of the three voices, this is where the authority of layer four becomes undeniable. The three different individuals from three very different backgrounds describe parallel frameworks from three very different angles. Dr. Ross, this is how the mind fragments. Cathy O'Brien, this is how fragmented minds are used. And Jesse, this is why fragmented minds matter within hierarchies. So science, experience, and meaning. The convergence gives us structure, not sensationalism. Mass psychological engineering. What happens to individuals can happen to populations. So, and the mechanisms are just exactly, the same. Trauma, repetition, narrative, isolation, identity erosion, and constant crisis. Modern psychological indicators. So, anxiety disorders are up by 25% globally since 2020. Loneliness epidemic, over 50% of young adults feel persistent isolation. Attention fragmentation accelerated by digital media. Information overlap reported by, or overload reported by 74% of adults, and record confusion about identity, meaning, and belonging. A fragmented population mirrors a fragmented mind, and this is why the collapse feels more psychological than it does political. So, just preparing for the next layer. So, layer four explains the internal world, why people struggle to see the collapse clearly, even when they're living in the midst of it. But beneath the psychological layer lies something even deeper: the ideological, mythological, and spiritual skeleton on which every institution, empire, and psychological system is built. Layer five exposes the oldest part of the map, the layer powerful groups have drawn from for thousands of years. So we have two more in this series of the collapse of society. And the next two layers are even more intriguing, to be honest. Just a quick word and a thank you to everybody who has been supporting the journey so far, the sobriety journey. I'm on day 10. I'm feeling absolutely fantastic and couldn't have done it without the support of everybody. So yes, massive thank you, and also a massive thank you to the guests who have contributed to this, which would be Jesse, Cathy, and Dr. Ross. So thank you very much, all three of you guys. If everybody could like, share, and subscribe, help get this channel pushed out onto the algorithm. And even if you could give it a wee hype as well, that would be fantastic. I hope you have a great evening. And I filmed this in the morning time, so I'm going to be chilling all day and fasting. So thank you very much, guys, and have a great day.
Done with casting pearls amongst the swine, 'cause each of us is running out of time. It's already started silent, you won't hear a chime. You'll be measured and punished for each heavenly crime.